And that's another thing that I affirm as somebody trying to dismantle the patriarchy, and specifically as a Black woman, is that I'm a tender ass bitch. I'm tender. Talk to me nice. Talk to me soft. I know that I'm tall and I have a deep voice. So I have to remind you that I'm a tender ass bitch because you're going to try and treat me like I'm like one of your homeboys and that you don't have to apologize and you can hurt me and I'm allegedly strong or whatever the fuck. Talk to me nice. I'm a tender ass bitch. And I have to remind whoever I'm dating, I have to remind them of that pretty regularly. But it's a reference point so that you know when I have a problem with what you're doing, it's because I'm a tender ass bitch and you're talking to me crazy now. I don't know who you don't talk to me like that. Talk to me tender, talk to me nice. And it actually reminds me of and I love like those who came before us, but it reminds me of, her name is escaping me right now, but that conversation that she had with James Baldwin, you know who I'm talking about?
Nikki Giovanni.
Thank you. It reminds me of that conversation that she had with James Baldwin that we've been seeing that clip kind of float around from back in the day where she's like, bring me the best of you when you come home. Bring me the best of you, like, regardless to what you're going through, because I'm bringing you the best of me. You know what I'm saying? So, like, talk to me fucking nice. We're both dealing with crazy shit in the streets. Talk to me fucking nice. And I think that
you don't come home and abuse me as a reaction to the fucking man fucking you over.
Right.
We both dealing with that. So
exactly.
When you touch me, bring me the love that you want so I can give you the love that's back to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't, no matter how deep my voice is, no matter what the fuck my pronouns are, no matter how you feel like, you know, I'm down and I could also like give you dap because that's how I move. No matter that we're both dressed in Tim's and practically the same outfit because I just want to wear the same clothes as my partner. Like, no matter what, I'm telling you I'm a tender ass bitch, so treat me that way. And I also, since we're having this tender ass bitch conversation about Black women, as light-skinned women, we are also treated with the tenderness that a lot of dark-skinned women are not granted. And so I want to affirm that experience as well, though I don't date men who do not also date dark-skinned women as just a practice. Like, that's not a part of my politic, but I cannot pretend I cannot not acknowledge that I'm sure that there are people who treat me with tenderness that they might not treat my dark-skinned women counterparts with. And it's important that I acknowledge that, even though that is something that I struggle with, there are dark-skinned women who battle. That's an uphill battle for them every day, you know, in ways that I'll never know. You know what I'm saying?
And this is for somebody who's listening. We're woke about our light-skinnedness, so we can say stuff like that, but say that you're a light-skinned girl that's listening to this. What we're telling you, in the same that we talk about white people, when we say, like, it's not poor white people. It's not that you don't have oppression or you don't have pressure or you don't have some kind of war thing that you got to deal with, but your whiteness is not one of those things that's making you a problem. So for us, yes, it's not like me being light-skinned is not gonna doesn't come with its own layer of problems or pressure just because I'm light-skinned. You think I'm stuck up or just be da-da-da-da. But what we're saying is that our light skin can lead men to treat us a little bit more tender, not fully tender, like we don't got no problems, but for a dark-skinned girl where the dark skin is stereotyped as rough,
not less than tender, right? Not tender, right? Yes, not tender, not deserving of care and delicateness or whatever.
We're reminded.
Yes. All Black women are deserving of that care and delicateness that many of us are denied. You know what I'm saying? Just as a standard. However, the lighter you are, the more likely, the closer to whiteness you appear, the more likely you are to be treated with a certain tenderness that is not afforded every Black woman. So I just want to, even though I do struggle with receiving tenderness in my relationships and I fight for that, I do want to acknowledge that I have privilege in that area and there are people who have to fight for that shit even more than I do. Yes.
I remember this nigga, I was coming from the store and I sometimes I hear light-skinned bitches like complain about certain shit, and I'm like, I know you going through the same shit that I go through. I know you getting the same affirmations that what these dark-skinned girls is telling you is the fucking truth. Because I remember I was coming from the store and I was walking past these niggas, and he like walked up to me. He was like, "Damn, baby girl, blah blah blah, typical shit." He was like, "I love red bitches. Like I would never fuck with a dark skinned girl. Y'all just
Yeah.
I just da 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 da
No.
da da and blah, blah, blah."
Delete, ignore,
And
deny.
I turned around. I was like, "Is that supposed to be cute to me?"
Right, right,
Now, when
right,
I was
right.
younger and wasn't woke, I would be like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I would be like,
Right.
yeah, not. I wouldn't say that I'm like anything like I'm better than dark skinned girls,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't check him. I would be like, oh,
Right.
you silly boy,
Mm-hmm.
and think that's
Mm-hmm.
cute because you are attracted to me,
Right.
especially as a trans woman who don't get that kind of love, and you affirming my womanhood, da da da. I would be like, oh, that's cute, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, whatever. But when I got older, it started to and more woke. I would literally be like, nigga, like you is that supposed to be attracted to me? That's anti-black as fuck. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I'm a black woman and I don't want to date a motherfucker that's anti-black. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
hear that shit. That shit ain't cute. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's my place to tell him that shit ain't cute. I don't need
It
to
is.
reward
Yeah.
him. I don't need to
Right.
reward him in that mindset that is marginalize another group of women that
Mm-hmm.
I care about. Get the fuck
Mm-hmm.
out of here. So for me, if you are not acknowledging that that shit happens and you making it seem like it doesn't happen, bitch, you lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bitch, you lying.
Mm-hmm.
Check that shit at the door.
Right. Yeah. Not only are you lying if you deny that that happens, but you're also not doing your part. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like it's a part of our responsibility as people with light skin privilege is to do our part in dismantling colorism. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And so if you deny that it exists, then you off bat, off jump, off rip. We know you're not doing your part if you're pretending that it's not a thing that's happening. You
right.
know? So yeah, no, you have to. Part of doing our part in that is naming it as a thing, or and bringing that shit up when nobody fucking asked me. You didn't ask me about that shit, but we have
Mm-hmm.
to, we have to be sure that we are naming and claiming our privilege, as a means of dismantling that shit.
How do you know balance when it's a fetish and when it's just they're into you? How do you balance? I want you to like my light skin. I want you to like
Right,
how I look. I want you to like
right.
how I feel, and I want you to like everything about me. I want you to
Mm-hmm.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want you to fetish it. I don't want that to be the only reason why you like me. I don't want
Yeah.
that to be the main reason why you like me. How do you balance that?
I honestly, I don't need. I don't I don't do compliments on like my complexion. Like usually I feel like you could smell it. Like you could like there's so many other things to compliment me on. Like I didn't do anything to get this complexion. I didn't do anything. It's not my blackness, my kinky hair, my features, my facial features. Um yeah, sure, I guess my not whiteness, but my I don't need a complexion compliment. Any complexion compliments to me are a red flag. Any of that is a
Mm-hmm.
red flag. I don't date anybody who only date light skinned women. I don't date anybody who only dates women with a certain kind of hair. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? With like a straight hair. If you don't date 4C girls, or if I'm your first 4C girl, that's odd. Um I don't care what they tell me. Like if there's a pattern of you only date light skinned women, I don't really want to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, I usually ask that like just in dating pretty early. I am also colorism exists everywhere, but I feel like I have experienced more conversations about color when I date men from elsewhere in the country, like men who are from outside of New York.
Yeah.
Um, so I it's a red flag to me when somebody I'm hanging out with is always mentioning my complexion, whether it be to say something good or to make fun of it, because I also feel, and I love a good joke. If it's fucking funny, then that's fine. But if you
Right.
say something that's just the punchline is
It's corny.
light skin, yeah, that's like, what is this? But I find often that in relationship with people who do that, whether it be friends or potential romantic partners, I find that there is an element of anti-blackness and preferential colorism towards light skinned folks, even in those jokes. It's like this hyper awareness like, why are you so hyper? What's happening in this moment that you are so hyper aware of my complexion that you are making those kinds of comments? And that, to me, even if they're saying disparaging things about my complexion, unless they're hilarious, because I like hilarious, but if they're just saying disparaging things about my complexion, that also leads me to believe that they are colorist, like anti dark skin, anti black, because of this hyper. What is this hyper awareness that's happening right now? So yeah, so anything like that, I don't give a shit how smart you think I am or whatever. That's a red flag to me. So I have never dated anyone who I felt like, oh, they say colorist things, but I could tell they really like me for me, because I don't like the fact that they're colorist in any direction, whether they really fucks with me or not. I don't want to fucks with you. So yeah, so I haven't really had to balance that. I would say the first time I ever really dealt with that was, I was like 13, and I was dating this guy. We already had liked each other and was hanging out, And then one day he was like, yeah, me and my brother, we always date the light-skinned shorties. And I was like, wait, what? What? Yeah. And like, I knew he liked me, but also I didn't know you were colorist. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the first time, and the closest I came to. I know a lot of people have younger, light-skinned, dark-skinned stories. I didn't really grow up with that. So that would, like, all of my three siblings, we're light skinned because of my dad and my mom. Primarily my dad's side gave us this abomination. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, all of my cousins who I saw on the regular were all dark skinned, brown skin, all different colors. I didn't think about my complexion until I went to college, and I was like, oh, these are my cousins or whatever. And they're like, oh, your family is dark skinned. I hadn't even considered like the dynamics of all of that. Anyway, I say all that to say, I know a lot of people grow up with all kinds of color stuff as they're coming of age. I didn't really experience that. We talked about color just so that you would like be aware of shit, but I didn't really experience like the colorism thing until I was dating this boy, and he was like, yeah, we always date the light skinned shorties. Like it was a thing, like there was weight to that. So
for me, it was more, when I was young, I come from a Mississippi country ass family,
right?
So it was constant. It's constant there. But navigating the world as a little boy, it was very different. When I was younger, when I transitioned to be Diamond, the difference in colorism, in the disparities between, I was really conscious, the disparities between colorism and dark skinned men and light skinned men. There is a difference because dark skinned men have, because dark skin, quote unquote, is associated with masculinity and being more masculine and that actually is a privilege on the male side. Not
when it
saying
comes
that
to dating, when it
comes to dating, not saying that light skin and pretty eyes and curly hair doesn't give privilege to light skinned men.
Right.
I think that the disparity is smaller between dark skinned men and light skinned men. But when you come over to the woman's side, that disparity is much, much larger. That wide gap of privilege is, to me, in my experience, is much larger and much more pronounced. Like when I was a little child, you didn't really hear it you heard it sometimes, but not too much. But once I started navigating the world as a light-skinned woman, it was totally different. You started to hear it. You started to pay attention to what was being said. You started to see it in magazines. And maybe it's because I was navigating as a woman, but it just was totally different. So
yeah, no, I feel you.
As I got older, I really had to balance, particularly about my transness. I have really had to balance and really be conscious of, when is this being a fetish? When is this being, I'm just really into you? And colorism is one of the things. Like I started to pay attention, like, oh, this is just a colorist thing in you. It's not just you're into me. But sometimes it is, you're just into me and you just like me. And so that's what I wanted to know, if you experience that too. So.
I think also, I mean, I do experience. I think also, I'm a 4C girl, and like all of my other features are pretty stereotypical black girl. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that there is texturism. I think that shit plays a factor into it. Like a lot of the things that come with a certain affinity for light-skinnedness, I don't really have those things. Like I'm light skinned. That's where it stops. You know what I'm saying? And so and so it does exist. I do pay attention to it, look out for it, and do my best to avoid colorism at all costs. But I think a lot of those things in terms of like what men desire, it's like, you know, the hair they can put their hands through, and like, you know what I'm saying, it's a certain look of whiteness that aside from being light skinned I don't really have, you know what I mean? So yeah.
If you enjoyed this conversation, hit thumbs up and share. If you want to hear the rest, you can head on over to our Patreon where we discuss demisexuality, dating in the cis pool of cis men, and hookup culture, and how cis women can play their part in dismantling transphobia. Or you can wait till Thursday and we'll have the whole interview up for free on all podcast platforms. Just search Marsha's Plate. See you there.